Hey guys, this is Will at Third and Long. Today we are going to be covering the best bets for Sunday for Week 6 of the NFL football season. So go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. And what we'll be focusing on today is the spreads, money line, and the over-under for Week 6. So Thursday Night Football just happened. If you see my Week 6 predictions video, we did have the Chiefs covering that spread, so they do get the win there. Next, we have on Sunday at 9:30, we have the London game. We have the Ravens at 3-2 versus the Tennessee Titans at 2-3. Baltimore comes in as 4-point favorites right now on the spread. And I'm getting all of our numbers right off of ESPN here. So props to them for giving that to us. And we have the over-under at 42 points. Now, when you look at my prediction video, I actually have the Baltimore Ravens covering the spread. So I had them winning 24-20. So they're covering that spread, and I'm also going with the over. The reason that I picked that is I just have a lot of issues with Ryan Tannehill. I've never thought he was a good quarterback, and I think that they rely too much on Derrick Henry, who is a great running back. It's just there's too much that's been put on his shoulders to completely carry this team. I think that the Ravens with Lamar Jackson should be able to carry the day along with Andrews. I think that's going to make up the big difference here. Titans have a good defense. Ravens have an okay defense, but I think it's the lack of offense on the Ravens that's going to cost them this game. Next game we have, and it is in London, so you never really know what might happen there because everyone's clock will be thrown off. Next game we have the Washington Commanders at 2-3 versus the Falcons at 3-2. So the spread here is we have the Falcons favored by 2.5 points, and the over-under is 42.5 points. So I actually went with the upset here. I think that the Commanders are due for a rebound off of that loss to the Bears. Falcons have they had a really good game this past Sunday. So Ritter actually had a good game, but I'm not buying it to be a permanent staple going forward, although he is loaded with a lot of weapons on offense. Both teams have god-awful defenses, but I think that the Commanders, like I said, are due for the rebound, and I actually had them winning 27-24. So on this game, I'm going with Washington. I'm going with, obviously, the Falcons not covering, and I'm going with the over here in 51 points. Next game that we'll be looking at is the 1 p.m. game for the Vikings at 1-4 versus the Bears at 1-4. Vikings offense is lighting things up, but Justin Jefferson is out. That's going to be a massive hit to Minnesota's offense and to Kirk Cousins. Bears last 2 weeks have looked like completely different teams. Justin Fields has been playing really well, really efficiently, and he has shown that he will light up really bad defenses. He's been running, he's been throwing, looking really good, and him and Moore have a great connection going on. They really went off last week too. So coming into this game, Minnesota is actually still the favorite at 3 points, and the over-under on this game was 44 points. So who I'm going with the win? I'm actually going with the Bears, again, to get the upset here. So to win, and for the over-under, I had the Bears winning 28-24. So I have them going over. I just think both teams have bad defenses, so points will be scored. It's just the Vikings without Justin Jefferson won't be able to keep up with the Bears offense. Next game we have at 1 p.m., 3-1 Seattle versus the 2-3 Bengals. Cincinnati's 2.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 45. So in this game, we just don't know which Burrow is showing up. The one that showed up last week was pretty good. That's basic Burrow. Now, Burrow of 2023 has been just complete garbage, and it's not his fault. As far as we know, he's been hurt, and that's what's been keeping him from being able to move the ball downfield and throw past 5 yards, basically. But if he's healthy, him and Chase is going to light this game up. Seattle's defense is not the defense of old, but their offense is very efficient. Geno Smith is still having a really good year. They have a decent running game, and they have decent wide receiver core with DJ Metcalf. So with that, the Bengals are the better team. It's just which Bengals is going to show up. Until I see Burrow put it together back-to-back weeks, I was going with Seattle to actually win this game, 27-24. So obviously, Bengals would not be covering the spread, and I was going with the over and with the Seattle win. Next game we have at 1 p.m., 49ers at 5-0, undefeated versus the Browns at 2-2. 49ers, hands down, best team in football. There's just too many weapons. Purdy, McCaffrey, Ayuk, Kittle, the list just goes on and on. And they have the number one defense and the number 2 offense. So an extremely well-rounded team. And then you have the Browns, who are just kind of, they don't know what they are, because what's up with Deshaun Watson? Is he playing? Maybe. Should he have played last week? The doctors say yes, but he's the only one that said no. So what's the issue there? And even if he did play, he hasn't been doing well anyway. But the Browns do have a very good defense. San Francisco, 9.5-point favorites here. So pretty big spread. Over under is 36 on this game, obviously due to the defenses. So to win, I was going with San Francisco winning 24-17. I did not have them covering the spread. And I had the over under when I had them scoring 41 points. So going with the over as well on that game. Next game we had coming up at 1 p.m. is the 0-5 Panthers versus the 4-1 Dolphins. The Dolphins come in at 13.5-point favorites. Massive spread for an NFL game. Over under 47.5 points. Obviously, Vegas is preparing for a lot of scoring due to the Dolphins offense. Panthers, with Bryce Young, he's shown some promise there, but they just don't have the playmakers. They're not a good team as of yet, but the worst they do, they will continue to rack up top picks, and they will be able to build a foundation and weapons around Bryce Young. Dolphins are stacked, the best offensive core in the country. Well, the 49ers could challenge them for best playmakers, but Hill and Waddle, hands down, the best wide receiver core in the country. So Dolphins are going to light it up, and the Panthers are bottom 5 on offense and defense. So I had the Dolphins winning 38-20. So I'm going Dolphins. I'm going with them covering that spread, and I'm also going with the over there. Next game we had was the Colts at 3-2 versus the Jaguars at 3-2. So Jaguars back-to-back wins in London the last 2 weeks. Trevor Lawrence has looked a lot better. Offense and defense have both looked a lot better. But can they carry that success back to Jacksonville? Colts, Richardson is out. Minshew is a great backup. Could probably be a starting quarterback on some teams in the pros. He will definitely fill in. They have Moss. They have Jonathan Taylor back. So they have great running weapons. Now, Jags won first game, but who's going to win this game since the Colts are a completely retooled team? My pick was I had the Jags winning. So Jags are favored by 4 points, and the over-under is 44.5. So I had the Jags winning 24-21. So not covering the spread, but they do get the win, and I'm going with them getting 45 points in total. Next game, we have the Saints versus the Texans. Saints 3-2, Texans 2-3. New Orleans 1.5-point favorite. The over-under 42.5 points. So this is another one that's going to be close here. Both teams, the Texans with C.J. Stroud has looked great as a rookie, the hands-down rookie of the year on the offensive side of the ball. He has Collins there. They have a great connection going on, and he still has yet to throw a pick. Saints don't know what they are on offense. They're loaded with weapons, but Cardinals can't seem to get the ball to them. But they still do have a top defense as of right now, so that will always keep the game close for them. So like I said, they're 1.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 42.5 points. I had Texans getting the upset, getting the win here, 23-20. So getting 43 points in total. Next game that we were looking at was the 1-4 Patriots versus the 2-3 Raiders. Raiders are favored by 2.5 points. Over-under is 41.5. I just have a hard time thinking that there's going to be that many points, but it is very possible. Both offenses are god-awful. Patriots have a decent defense. It's just their offense never gets first down, so they're on the field the whole game. So who is basically going to suck the least in this game? That's the question. I had been siding with the Patriots the last couple of weeks, but I'm just giving up on that. So until Mac Jones and Bill O'Brien and Bill Belichick show that they can get 15 points per game, I just can't do it. So they have to prove it to me, basically. So the Raiders are favored by 2.5. I had the final score coming in at 17-14 Raiders winning. So they're going to cover, and I had them going in under, only getting 31 points total. Next game that we're looking at is the Cardinals at 1-4 versus the Rams at 2-3. So Rams are favored by 7, over under 48.5 points. So they have this being a high scoring game. Cardinals are not a bad team with Josh Dobbs, but Do they really want to do well? They need to lose as many games as possible to get Caleb Williams and trade off Kyler Murray because the guy's a disease and you don't want him on your roster anyways. Rams, they have absolutely no defense, but their offense is completely humming. Stafford, Williams, Nakua, Cooper Kupp's back. A lot of weapons there. They will be able to move the ball. So I have the Rams winning 31-23. So they will cover the spread, and I'm also going with the over here because there'll be 54 points total. Rams will definitely get some first downs and get some touchdowns. Next game we had was the 5-0 Eagles versus the 2-3 Jets. Eagles have had a very hot start to the season, but they're not as good as they were last year, but they have a lot of talent. They have the best offensive line in the country and a lot of weapons to use for it. They have the Jets. Zach Wilson has looked good the last 2 weeks, but he's still not Aaron Rodgers. But nonetheless, he just has to be efficient when you have the defense of the Jets. Now, the Eagles come in as 7-point favorites, the over-under 41 points. So I have the Eagles winning 27-17, so covering that spread, and I'm also going with the over with there being a total of 44 points. Next game that we're looking at is the 4-1 Lions versus the 3-1 Buccaneers. Lions have picked up where they were last year, had a great start to the year. Goff looks great. Campbell is doing a very good job as head coach. Buccaneers at 3-1. Baker Mayfield has had a great season so far. Good Baker has been showing up the whole season so far. He's probably due for a really bad game, but nonetheless, props for him and the way that he's been playing so far this year. So Detroit is favored by 3, the over-under 42.5 points. I have the Lions winning 27-21. I could see the Buccaneers maybe getting, 17 points potentially because the Lions do have a pretty good defense. But nonetheless, I have them covering the spread of 3, and I'm also going with the over on this game as well. Next game we have the game that really should have been a good game, but the Giants have just got awful. We have the New York Giants at 1-4 versus the Bills at 3-2. Buffalo 14.5 point favorites. Massive spread there. Over under 45 points. So Giants, we know what they are. Saquon Barkley might be back. He might not be back. I don't really care. It's not going to change the outcome of the game. Buffalo lost last week to the Jags. They cannot afford to drop to 500. They cannot lose and go to 3-3. They must win this game to keep the momentum going. So Buffalo 14.5 point favorites. I had Buffalo winning 31-21. So failing to cover that spread, and the only reason that I say the Giants get 21 is they get a garbage touchdown at the end of the fourth quarter. So that keeps them from being able to cover that spread, but I'm going with the over in total points, with there being 52 points. Next game, and the last game, we have the Dallas Cowboys at 3-2 coming off of getting curb stomped by the 49ers versus the 2-2 Chargers, who had a bye week. Both teams, so with Herbert and the Chargers, they have a great offense, and Eckler should be back this week. They still have Allen, but Williams is out. That's a big loss, but he never plays. He is always hurt. And then you have the Cowboys coming off of just getting beat down by the 49ers. Can they rebound? Thankfully for them, they have a top 5 defense. So when you have a good defense like that, you just have to be serviceable on offense. And that's what's going to make the difference here. I did have the Cowboys winning 27-24, but the spread was Dallas by 2 and the over-under of 51. So I have the final score coming in at exactly 51, and I have Dallas covering that spread. I just think that CeeDee Lamb and Pollard will be due for big games this weekend. And we have the Packers and Steelers having bye weeks. So that's my breakdown of the Week 6 Sunday best bets. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks.